although I was worried about cancer, I wasn't at the top of the list. Next. This is just an X-ray showing the sinuses, and they're fairly complex, but essentially there was no evidence of a problem. The medication we used was for to cover sinus and bacterial infections. I consulted other veterinarians who didn't think that there was any other probability. However, when she didn't respond to the medications, we got Curtis back and he imaged her. And if you look at this, you can see on the right side of her face, her right eye is quite a bit more red. And it's fairly obvious that her teeth are quite inflamed. The white areas are the hottest, and the red is the next hottest. So that was actually a very short time after that we pulled her teeth. Within 24 hours, the nasal discharge, which was smeared all over her face, we couldn't get her any relief from that, was reduced by 90%. And with the palm egging, she got a very, very small response, and that's why we knew we had to pursue this further and pull her teeth. But post-op, she's able to have palm egging and have relief without medication. So although she had extensive dental surgery, the magnets are helping her speed up her recovery. And we have some more. This foal, this is a 6-month-old foal, and he was born knock-kneed. That's a specific valgus deformity. And the owners took their own direction and kept the foal splinted and in a stall for 3 months. He was in a lot of pain, and they kept him on painkillers as well. They brought him to us for interest, and we did the thermographic imaging. Next. And the before image is on the left, and you can see the colder colors in the limbs. It's my supposition that I suspect that those limbs are showing evidence of poor circulation, probably because of the constant splinting. For 20 minutes, we held a palm egg behind the foal's front legs, just for safety. And you can see after 20 minutes of palm egging, the change in the colors. There's much more heat in the legs, especially the right one, and it's affecting his hind limbs as well. The foal got some relief. He was able to walk and run a little bit after this, whereas previously it was like he was walking on eggs. So that was very dramatic for us. Next. So those are my cases. I'd like to mention one more. I've helped a lot of animals with these, and but people too. One I'd like to mention is a little dog that came in for a wart. We don't just use these magnets for treating things, and we scheduled the dog to have the wart removed, but in the course of examination, I found a mass in her abdomen, and there was no outer evidence of that. So many of us know what it's like to have to give that bad news. There wasn't a lot of hope, and with x-rays we could tell it would be inoperable. So the owner asked me what could he do, so we put him on the pet pad, gave the dog some nutritionals. Her coat went from dull and dry to shiny, and for 3 to 4 months she was active, and I just couldn't believe it. So until about 4 months later, when she suddenly collapsed and had to be euthanized, that dog had the best life. And her owner now uses that pet pad. I didn't know he had issues, but he realized that when he put it on his chair, his sore shoulders got relief. So these magnetics are not just for treating, but also for palliative care. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Very good.
Hi. I didn't bring any pictures, so I'm just going to sit here. I don't have to see the monitor. So, I got involved with NECAN actually by accident. It was a client of mine, and it's kind of funny how it happened, really, when I think back. I just happened to be driving by his place, and I saw him talking to another fellow that had a few horses out. For once, I had a little bit of time, so I stopped in just to say hello. And it was kind of funny because I thought I'd done something wrong last time I was there, because I kind of got the cold shoulder and I couldn't figure this out. So being persistent and kind of nosy, I just kept sticking my nose into things and finding out what this is all about. And lo and behold, this fella had been introduced to the Nikin products about a week prior to, and he'd had a few amazing results with his shoulder that he had frozen, and he had his farrier there who was trimming his horses. And farriers notoriously have back problems, and as it turned out, he was trying to make a sale of some of the products to help this fella in his back and whatnot. And he saw me driving down the driveway. Here comes Mr. Scientific. He thought, oh, he's going to really blow this whole thing. So once I found that out, and then kept asking the questions, and finally he explained what he knew about it. And I was pretty open-minded because when I was in veterinary college, they were actually doing some research on magnetic fields with broken bones, and it's actually written up in the literature. If you want to look it up, the positive effect on osteoclasts, which are the bones that repair bones, or the cells that repair bones. Sorry. And then from then on, at the same time, I was getting kind of burned out with my practice. I was getting really tired, just couldn't quite. At the end of the day, boy, I was really dragging it. So bought a pair of mag steps to begin with from this client and tried them for a while. And after a few weeks, I noticed an increase in energy, and then I started using more and more of the products. And I started using my friends and family as experimental models. You got to get your priorities straight before you try it on animals. So anyway, my wife was one of the major, amazing differences. That she had a real challenge with her heels that were bothering her, and she had orthotics, and they were helping, but it still wasn't 100%, and it was still pretty sore. And I remember when I brought those mag steps back and showed them to her, and she looked at me like, "You're crazy." I'll never forget that look. But anyway, she was she was really not excited about trying these products out, but she said, "Okay, I'll try them." And within 3 weeks to a month, it made a 100% difference on her. And mind you, it took her 6 weeks before she'd admit it. And today she will not go without any of the products. I mean, she uses a lot of the products. And myself, I also use a lot of the products. Sleep on that Dream Sleep system, and it is phenomenal. And I have more energy. I can get by with 4 or 5 hours of sleep if I have to. And before, I had to get my 8 to 9 hours, or I was a mess. So it's really made a difference in my life. Now, as far as I use a lot of the products in my practice, and I could go on and on. But a couple of cases come to mind. The first one is a thoroughbred mare that had actually stepped on a nail and got it right up into the bottom of her foot and drove it right up into the coffin bone, which is a bone that's right in the center of the foot. And that's quite a severe condition. And I took it to an esteemed colleague that is a specialist in that area. And he basically said, we could do a $2,500 operation, and she's probably going to be a lame broodmare when you get done. And that didn't sit too well with me, so I thought, well, we're going to try these magnets and see what happens. So anyway, we put her on antibiotics and a packing for a week, and after a week, she was still lame. And at the same time, we also put on a mag step, which is modified, and a farrier put on the bottom of the foot with a pad. And after a week, she was still 100%, non-weight-bearing lameness. So then we took the pad off and changed it again and made sure that all the other stuff was off, and we just left the pad on. And between 6 to 7 weeks, this mare went 100%. And in fact, the farrier kept commenting, the foot we put the pad on looked way better than the foot that we didn't. In fact, I wish we would have put it on both to begin with. But that was quite an amazing